Hello. Let me get settled in my chair. Check that the camera is actually pointing at me. Okay. Quick look. Hold on. Oh, she's just moved. Tina girl. Tina girl. There you go. Hey, there's Tina. First shot of the day. And here's the inside of the tent, currently being buffeted and blown around somewhat. I'm not sure if we'll manage a full stream, but we're going to give it a go. The winds are probably about 30-35 kilometers at the minute. Hello Thomas, my friend. Back to me. Put the camera where it belongs, on the star of the show. It was already on her, wasn't it? Okay folks, this is the big 5-0. Jack Attack, hello my friend. This is episode 50, the big 5-0 of TrampCast, Sunday, December the 8th, 2024. We'll just wait for people to arrive, give you all a minute or two before I prattle on too much. Anybody else in chat, say hello if you're here. Live chat, all messages. Just the two of you so far that are saying hello. Oh, there's more. People are arriving. Okay, folks, as I said, episode 50 of TrampCast, Sunday, December the 8th, 2024. I am Delta Mike. The channel is Down and Out in Torrevieja, Tina girl. Good start. She's pushing my podium over onto me. About to topple the camera and my drink. Let's start with that. Cheers to you guys that are here early, the early crew. It's a bit early, but I'm celebrating. I can't believe that we're on episode 50 already. And there have been a few more. There have been some specials that are unnumbered, that don't count in the sequence. But as I think the live streams are 14 or 15 months old now, so I have missed a few along the timeline. Okay, where was I? I am Delta Mike. The channel is Down and Out in Torrevieja. Down and out. A tramp, a hobo, a vagrant, someone of no fixed abode. Tina girl, you're knocking the podium. I call it a podium. It's a laundry bin. With a hey. Let's have some quiet. Let's put the camera back on the monster. Show the world what a monster she can be. Hey, I said let's have some quiet. Quiet. Yeah, the roof's still blowing around a little bit. Well, I say the roof's gone. But the tarpaulin that is now the roof, it's a bit windy out there. Okay, I was in the middle of my list of synonyms. Where did I get to? Person of no fixed abode. An indigent person. Some would say a bum. Someone sleeping rough or on the streets. Or in my case, in a field. In a tent in a field. Torrevieja. That's a city on the southeast coast of Spain. Okay. So this is TrampCast, where we highlight, if that's the word, the successes, the failures and the other happenings in my life as a homeless person in Torrevieja in Spain. As I said folks, it's episode 50 already. And they said it wouldn't last. I think I've missed maybe what, 20% of the weeks? I don't know, maybe more. I'd have to count back. Although I have given you a few specials along the way, as I say. Okay, folks. We will begin, as we often do, well, as we almost always do, with the numbers round. This is episode 50, therefore some facts about the number 50. Roman numeral for 50, L. One-day international cricket matches are usually 50 overs each team, an over being 6 balls, six balls at the other side. Famously, and I guess the subheading of today's episode is triggered by this, Hawaii is famously the 50th state to join the Union. And, as an upshot, the TV series Hawaii Five-0, originally with Jack Lord in the late 60s and into the 70s maybe? Definitely the 70s, because I remember it when I was a kid. And that gives us one of the nicknames for the police, which is 5-0. To this day, still used by a lot of people. 50%. Well, that's half, isn't it? Also leads us to the phrase where something is 50-50, where you split something 50-50, half and half. What else have we got? In jubilees and weddings, the 50th is the golden wedding anniversary or a golden jubilee. There is no international direct dialing code for the number 50 because there are 3-digit codes that start 50. So 500 is the Falkland Islands, 501 Belize, 502 Guatemala, and up to 509, which is Haiti, which means there can be no 50 in and of itself. She's butting right into my, I'll call it my pedestal still, but she's backing right into the laundry bin upon which you are perched. My apologies. Okay, the final fact about 50, with a few sub-facts, as there usually are. The atomic number 50 is tin, with the symbol SN, Sierra November, which is derived from the Latin stanna, which... Mark, hello my friend. I hear you're coming back soon. Oh, I almost barred you there by accident, my friend. Hold on, let me just try and bring that up. 50 pence, half a pound, yeah. 10 shillings in old money. 20 shillings in a pound. 12 pennies in a shilling back in the old days. Pounds, shillings and pence, or LSD basically, because the pound symbol is a glorified L from Libra, from a pound of silver, sterling silver. Okay, where am I? Tin. From is it Stanner or Stanger? I can't read my own handwriting here, guys. Silvery metal, soft enough to be cut with a pair of tin snips, just a little bit of brute force. It's been used and known about since 3500 BC, so 5,500 years. Not quite prehistoric, but there was another word for something in between prehistory and recorded history. Tina! Shush. Shush. It's just people walking past. It's one of the most stable elements due to complete shells, proton shells within the nucleus, which is why it has more stable isotopes than any other element. Historic uses: bronze, which is 1 part tin, 7 parts copper, roughly. And also pewter, which came later on, which is 90% tin mixed, and over time there have been different metals it's been mixed with. 90% tin, 10% copper or antimony. Get my teeth in, haven't got any. Bismuth, lead or silver. Basically, you get 90% tin and just mix it with any other metal you got lying around, more or less. Modern uses: solder, tin plating of steel, i.e. tin cans. It's only a thin plating of tin. What else can we say about it? There was something else I read. Oh, it's used in these coatings. Your mobile phone and touch screens, basically. It's part of the transparent layer that helps with conductivity over the top of glass on touch screens. That's one of the big modern uses. Okay, folks, that was the numbers round, the number 50. Facts about the number 50, because this is TrampCast episode 50, the big 50. Okay, folks, next We have the thank you round, the thank you section. Call it a round, makes it sound like a game show, doesn't it? It's not. Now, it's been a quiet week in terms of donations and visitors to the site and help generally. Hint, hint. I only had one visitor to the site, a lady called Colleen, who's been a few times recently. She comes and brings Tina bones, or in this case, she brought a chicken carcass, a raw chicken carcass, and also a bag of biscuits with bits of cooked chicken meat in the bag. So thank you to Colleen, my only visitor this last week, I believe. Well, I had a not so good visitor later on. We'll get there. We'll get there. I think I've been conned. Whoa. I think I've been conned, but well, I know I have, but might have been worth it just to get rid of him and not risk any trouble. We'll get to it. I think is that Wednesday or Thursday in the listing? I think that was Thursday afternoon. Don't quote me. We'll get there when we get there, folks. I struggled today, this morning, writing my notes. I was running out of room. In fact, the last couple of days, I've only put like the merest outline. I had to leave details out because I didn't want to go onto a new page. That would have ruined my, well, frankly, that would have ruined my already ruined pad. It got wet in the big storm a while back. And every one of TrampCast so far, the specials as well, it's one book for everything. And it got wet through and it's got a bit mouldy on the edges and a bit wrinkly and a bit. But I didn't want to, like, so far every episode is stuck to a single page. Has been one page. I didn't want to go over, turn the leaf and ruin my record of sticking to one format. Okay, so thank you to Colleen. Also, folks, thanks to you, the viewers, everybody here now, the people who arrived early, especially the subscribers. Where would we be without the subscribers? The donors, the people who have donated. There's a PayPal link in the description of every TrampCast, almost every video, unless I forget. Often pinned as the first comment after the event, once YouTube has processed and the thing's gone live. Hello, Ismo, my friend. Yeah, the wind is definitely picking up, Thomas. Sorry, I didn't see your message when you first sent it. It's about 35 kilometers an hour, according to the weather forecast. I don't know whether that's an average or if that's the top gusts. I don't know how that's going. Anders, how is the winter here? Fine so far. I'm in a short sleeve t-shirt and short pants still. It is a thermal t-shirt. I did upgrade mainly because I'm running out of clean t-shirts, but that's a separate question. Somewhere in here I've got long sleeve t-shirts and a long sleeve thermal. I've got jumper. I've got a jumper or sweater. In England we call them jumpers. I got a sweater here. I've only wore it maybe 3 times, but there was one night where the temperatures got down. The weather forecast said it was 9 degrees, but often it's 2 or 3 degrees cooler just here in this spot because we're right on the coast and we're at the bottom of a bunch of hills. We're at a low point, and it's often cooler here than the weather forecast, and even cooler than, you know, outside the pharmacies they have a sign, a clock that also tells the temperatures. Well, those are up on the hills, and when I go and read the temperature and then walk down the hills, I feel it getting colder as I walk down here. So it's often 2 or 3 degrees cooler down here. Right now, my thermometer was suspended from the ceiling, but the ceiling's shaking about that much. It's fallen apart. Oh, my friend Ismo, what? Ismo, your legs are still a problem. Oh no. Sorry to hear that, my friend. But the winters here has not been too bad so far. We've had one cold night. Well, we've had a couple of cooler nights this week. We had one, I hesitate to use the word cold, but we've had the odd little bit of rain. We had the big storm a few weeks ago, of course, that killed a lot of people further afield. But we've been all right here on the whole. Not a problem, apart from the fact that I don't have a roof. The tarp that's on here was damaged just a few days after it was put on. That was the big storm, wasn't it? It was put on, and then we had the big storm just a few days later. So tarpaulins are woven. There's a lot of interwoven they're plastic strips, but it's been teased apart and stretched in places and had big kind of bull clips or dog clips on it holding it in place. And the teeth on those have caused a little bit of damage in places. We had some rain this week, but we held together okay. So the winter's not been too bad so far. It's not even really winter yet. Technically, winter starts on December the 21st or 23rd, depending on when your country decides is the, not the equinox, solstice. The winter solstice is the beginning of winter, technically, according to astrophysicists. So yeah, we'll see once we get to Christmas and that kind of period in a few weeks' time. But I've got a thought of something that I might do this year come January, February. I've got half an idea of how I can ease my way through winter. Not easy, living in a tent in a field right on the coast, quite exposed. I have got backup tents and sleeping bags, and I've got surplus blankets and extra quilts, and I've got lots of bedding, so there's no real problem. Apart from the roof and staying waterproof. We shall see, folks, we shall see. So anyway, as I was saying, thank you to Colleen for coming down and bringing things for Tina. Thanks to the subscribers, the donors, all the visitors who've come to the site, and especially the ones that come bearing gifts, and the PayPal donations from everybody, and other donations in real world. Like Susan that has bought me a couple of Mercadona shopping deliveries in the past. Things like that. And Conrad a few weeks ago, who brought sleeping bags and the bed mats that you lay on in you know, when you're hiking and camping. I've actually got I'm laying on 2 double mattresses, me and the doggy, where I'm still thinking about getting us off the ground for when water does get into the tent. That was always a thing, but the police took away my planks of wood. I've got the bricks, I've got everything else. I've got the cross beams still, but it's the 4 planks I need. I need 4 planks that are maybe an inch thick, 2.5 centimeters thick, and about 2 meters in length. And then I can build a bed off the ground again in case water, because at the minute when water gets in, and it does sometimes, the bottom mattress is just a sponge, and eventually so will be the top mattress. So I've got those things to think about for the future and how we handle things. But all this is a diversion from me saying thank you. We're on 50. It's unbelievable to me that we're here on 50 subscribers. When I first started the channel, I had no idea I would ever get over 1,100 subscribers. I had no idea that I would ever do a live stream. I didn't know that I could do this. I'm not going to say I'm any good at it, but I enjoy doing it. I haven't watched the last 2 back though, I'll be honest. I started to watch last week's back, but got interrupted and sidetracked and just didn't go back to it. I will catch up, folks. I like to watch them back generally. But I had no idea I could do this and sit and prattle on for a couple of hours to a camera or to a phone and talk to you people. I had no idea when I did my first live stream, which was where I met Karen, my friend Karen, who's been a great help ever since, Karen and her family. I had no idea back then that we would reach 50 and that this would go on for over a year. But here we are, folks. Here we are. The big 5-0. So thank you, everybody, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, let's move on from the thank yous. Let's try and do the themes for the week. As I've mentioned, folks, we are in kind of late autumn, some would say winter, I know. The nights are getting cooler. We've had a couple of cooler nights. The next week sees some nights getting down. The forecast says 7 degrees, 6 degrees maybe. And as I said, it gets 2 or 3 degrees cooler here in this particular... We're in a bit of a hollow. We're right on the coast, bar a few trees. 50 metres that way, maybe 100 metres that way is the sea. There's a bunch of trees that protect us from some of these winds when the wind's in the right direction. But we are in a bit of a depression, a bit of a hollow. And you do kind of feel the cold. In fact, the next section, when we start talking about this past week, and I talk about last Sunday after the TrampCast ended, and I took, let me show you, oh, I don't want to put my hand there, do I? Let me show you this. So here's my niece, you're perched on this laundry bin, on this pan. So after TrampCast last week, I had to take this laundry bin and the pan outside, put them away. Well, now Tina's hitting it with her tail. Hello, niece. Yeah. I had to take this outside because it's kind of in the way. It takes a bit of awkward floor space. So I took that outside and I could literally see my breath. The temperature was supposedly, according to the weather forecast, it was supposedly 16 degrees with a 14-degree dew point, and yet everything outside was already wet through, and I could literally, not just little bits of breath, like I was a dragon breathing out fire. It was all just there, billowing away in front of me. So it was cool out there. It was cooler than the 14 degrees dew point. So we're getting there, and as I said, one day this week we were down, I guesstimate, around 7 degrees. The forecast said 9, but I don't know why I'm guesstimating. I've got, yeah, here, look, hold on. It hasn't got any batteries in. Does anybody remember this from past videos? Digital clock that I found in a bin working a couple of years ago. If I put the batteries in, it does the clock, the alarm, all the other stuff, but it also has an inbuilt thermometer, digital readout, tell me the time, tell me the temperature, wherever it's placed. And I've got spare batteries just laying there, I just haven't married the two together. In fairness, I was keeping the batteries for my fairy lights, but I think I'm covered for that. So let me just get back on track. We're talking about the themes for the week, the cooler nights and how I could see my breath and the dew point. And this next week, every night I think is 10 degrees or cooler at the low point in the night. Usually 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. But the nights will get even cooler than that, won't they? Come January and February, which is where I'm going to discuss something later that that I think will work, because I've got a power supply here, because I've got the EcoFlow and the solar panel, which all came thanks to you guys. The donations when we got this last tent, and there was some money left over, and I got the EcoFlow and solar panel, and revolutionised my life, changed my life. That's why I can now have a Christmas tree with electric lights and fairy lights hanging on the wall, and a slow cooker for cooking food when there's a bit more sun than there is at the minute. Actually, today would have done, with hindsight. I could have cooked today, but didn't. Bad decision on my part. He says with hindsight is 2020. But having an electric supply, I'm thinking, I'll spill the beans now. I'm thinking of getting a single electric blanket in January, February. I've got hot water bottles, I've got a dog to cuddle. I've got spare blankets and quilts. I've got sleeping bags. I've got ways of keeping warm, but rather than just getting by and not being too cold, making myself actually comfortable and warm might be an idea. I'm toying with the idea. They're not expensive and the power draw isn't too much. I've seen them as low as 50 watts. Double tends to be a bit more, 75 to 100 I think. So I could only use them for 5 or 10 minutes 2 or 3 times in the night, a big one, or a little bit more with a small one. It's an idea. I said, I've got hot water bottles, I've got pop bottles I can just boil water and put in like I did before I had a proper hot water bottle. But the cooler nights are here. It's still nice through the day, and last night was incredible. 9 o'clock last night, 9:30, almost 10 o'clock, and it was still 20 degrees. Which is, like I said, t-shirts and shorts, even at night, out walking the dog. 2 nights, maybe 3, I've had to put a jumper on, a sweater, but not much, not often. It is as it is, folks. It is as it is. But it's going to get cooler. I'm ready for it. So along with cooler nights, the weather in general, as I think you can see, it's getting a bit windy back there. This is my this is the wall of the tent that's hanging down and broken. We even lost the structure. We lost the seam that was holding it all up. There's the seam and the window. It's all fucked. The roof's gone, as I said, but we've got tarpaulins. I've got an extra tarpaulin now after my birthday from my friend Karen. 8 meters by 6, I think it was. It'll cover almost the entire tent. It's almost a new skin for the tent. And as one of you guys pointed out, if I could put this entire tent inside another tent, condensation will be on the outside or maybe on the inside of the outer layer, and it won't get as damp inside here under the current linings and tent structure such as it is. Sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on it. It's getting a little bit rowdy. I think we're all right, folks. I think we're all right. It's not like Storm Dara that you've had back in the UK with 95 mile-an-hour winds. What's that? 150, 160 kilometers an hour? Tina! Hey, babe. Come here for a cuddle. Come and have a cuddle. Yes. Take her under the chin. Now be quiet. That's my girl. That's my Tina. For those that have arrived late, let's just have a quick... Nope, that didn't work. First click never works. There she is. Tina girl. Say hello to the peoples. Yeah. There she is, right next to the EcoFlow, so when she moves she can get her feet tangled in all those wires. Drag the Christmas tree over. Oh, Christmas tree. I didn't... Oh, no, I should have left it that way, look. There's my Christmas tree for anyone that hasn't seen it. Fibre optic, lots of flashing lights. I'll turn it on in the next half an hour probably. It will get a little bit dark shortly. Somewhere between 5:30 and 6, which it's 5:30 now almost. So we'll, excuse me. And again, sorry. That's it. I have that should be one of the themes really. I didn't write that down. A few days ago, maybe 4-5 days ago, I felt the beginnings of a cold coming on. And it stayed as the beginnings of. It started with like an itchy nose and lots of sneezing. And it hasn't really progressed beyond that. I had a little bit of a sore throat at one point, you know, when you start to feel your throat closing up. So I thought we were in for a bit of a rough few days, but it stayed as mild as anything. I think it was after one of the really cold nights. You know, when your nose gets cold and your ears get cold, and that's generally, I think when your nose gets cold, that's what allows the infection in. The cold virus is there all the time, but when your nose gets cold, you get more susceptible to it, which is why I think it's probably called a cold. Interesting point. Did you know the common cold is only about 200 to 250 years old? Before that, it didn't exist. Who knew? Who knew? I think I've got that right. It's either the cold or the flu. One of them didn't exist until 250 years ago. Okay, where am I? So yeah, the themes for the week: the weather, the cooler nights, the wind as we've got now. This wind. I saw on, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, I saw they were predicting that from noon on Saturday until noon on Wednesday, we were going to have these 30 to 40 kilometre an hour winds. They've backed off from that a little bit, and it's only going to be until the end of Tuesday now, not Wednesday. And they've reduced the the wind strength in the predictions, in the forecasts. But we've got this until basically midnight tomorrow night, maybe just after. And it's just going to be, according to the forecast, it's going to be solid all the way through. 30 kilometers an hour plus. Which doesn't sound like a lot. But when you're in a tent that's already broken, and it's a big tent, and it's often sideways onto these winds this year. What wouldn't have been previously, they tended to be north-south last winter from what I remember. There's a video of the old tent really billowing and jellyfishing in these really, really strong winds, just before it all fell apart and went really bad. But this time they tend to be hitting us broadside, 7 meters by 3, and it's got 7 meters to hit and 2 meters high roughly. It's a big target to have strong winds hitting sideways on. And we, how would you put this? We cannibalized some of the guy ropes from that side to hold the tarp on after the roof went through. So we're being hit from a side that doesn't have the stabilizing force of the guy ropes. And the guy ropes are tied to the fabric of the tent, which was crumbling and falling apart anyway. So that was all a bit awkward. So yeah, these have been the themes this week, I guess. Along with, tied to the weather, we had some either cloudy days or cloudy half days, and trying to keep the power. As I said, I'm on a solar panel, 100 watt solar panel, and the EcoFlow River 2, 250 watt hour storage. So not a lot of power stored in the bank there, and if we have a day or two that's dark and overcast or rainy, I can be in danger of running out. As I think I said last week, I was down to 30% charge or below 30% charge at one point. Maybe as low as 20. Like, not this week just gone, but the one before. The one I talked about last Sunday. So yeah, it's, whoa, Tina. So it's a challenge, folks. The weather brings multiple layers of challenges with it. Now, one other thing that I wrote here. Now, I wrote this and then I found I was totally wrong. So I wrote no mice. Now, there was one. We'll come to this very shortly. There was one on Sunday night last week. I sat out here with the Christmas tree on, and then I got into bed a couple of hours later, and something outside of the bedroom, just inside the door of the tent, caught my eye. Movement. I think it was a mouse. I don't think it was one of the bigger ones. Yeah, I don't think it was one of them. I think it was a mouse. I hope. But I've not seen or heard. I've had no sight, no sound of anything mouse related. Wrote my notes this afternoon. Came out here and went digging about in a pile of things I've got stored behind this chair here. There used to be 2 packs of spaghetti back here from when Joby, the English guy who was in this field a while back, from when he was here and he left, and he, you know, moving around with open packets of spaghetti wasn't going to work. So I had them back here and I've just forgot about them, never used them. I've gone back there today, and one of the packs, they were both open as I said, but one of the packs is totally empty where it wasn't, and then you've got the droppings on the floor back there. And then I've got 2 or 3 bags of shopping down here, and I think I'd had a bag of slices of cheese, and I kind of got half a recollection of leaving 1 slice of cheese in the pack. And I come here now and it's empty, and there's droppings in the bottom of the shopping bag. They haven't touched anything else. There were biscuits in there, you know, unopened, a loaf of bread. I've even got some fairy cakes, Magdalenas, they call them out here. Untouched, everything untouched, but just this little pile of droppings in the bottom of the bag and this 1 slice of cheese gone. Because I didn't get around to buying bloody mouse traps when I should have a couple of weeks ago. My own fault. The problem is tying Tina up taking Tina across to the Chinese shop, to the little Chino bazaar. Tying her up, She barks once a second, every second, as soon as I step foot inside the shop. And I don't know where anything is inside the shop, except the things that I go there for regularly. So I haven't got time to wander the aisles and go and find... It's huge. How am I going to find mouse traps? And they're not very good there. Other people got me some from there once, and then someone else got me some from elsewhere, and the ones from elsewhere were just so much better. So I hesitate to spend the meager resources that I do have on an inferior product. I mean, literally, someone bought me, I think they got me 3, and one of them fell apart within 24 hours. And it's not the sort of place that gives refunds. They're just not there. So the combination of the dog being outside barking whenever I'm in there, once a second, every second, me not knowing where anything is, and wasting my meager resources on inferior product, all just add up to a lack of an inclination to go and spend money in there and to buy the mouse traps that I need. So yeah, that was I wrote that this afternoon, no mice, knowing that there'd been this one little thing immediately last Sunday night, but then nothing all week. And then no sooner do I finish writing the notes and I come out here and start setting up, realise that there's a pile of things back here and I'm not sure what's here, so I decided to look through the pile, and yeah, empty spaghetti packet and mouse droppings. Oh bastards, they get everywhere, they really do. I said this last year, I had a kind of a growing admiration for their tenacity and their speed. If you've ever seen a wild mouse run, I said it a few weeks ago, one ran along the edge of my bloody bed. It ran past so fast I wasn't sure what I was looking at. I thought something had gone in between a light, like I thought maybe a fly or a moth had flown in between the light and where I was, and that I was watching a shadow, and that the speed was like exaggerated because this much movement past the light would be that much movement, you know, of a shadow. But no, it's a little fucking mouse run right past me on the edge of my bed. Gotta get some mouse traps, folks. Gotta get some mouse traps. Okay, all that preamble, all that rambling, those were my themes for the week, I think, unless I've missed something. In I go. Hey, stop it. Okay, folks, we are coming up for 38 minutes in. We'll just burn a few seconds. Cheers to you guys, the viewers, and cheers to the subscribers. If you haven't already, can you hit the thumbs up? $50, the big 50. Speedy Gonzales, yeah, they really are that fast. I mean, I've seen them in the streets when I used to walk around the bins to gather resources, you know. We'd see them occasionally. People put little, you know, those posh little pots of cat food, Oscars or whatever it's called. People will peel those and put them out for cats. Well, you get the mice actually eating the food first. They get there before the cats do. Then they'll see a cat come along and they're away. The cat has no chance. Okay, folks. This is episode 50, 50, Buckham Dano of TrampCast. And we're about to begin with the details of the week, the successes, the failures and the happenings in my life as a tramp, a hobo, a vagrant, person with no fixed abode, an indigent person, a bum, someone who sleeps rough on the streets or in a field here in Torrevieja on the southeast coast of Spain. So we begin as we always do, usually, with last Sunday after TrampCast. And I've already mentioned I took this laundry bin outside, and it wasn't just cool, it was a lot colder than I'd realised while I was sat here in this nice warm chair with a bit of a quilt behind me, even though I'm in a t-shirt and shorts, and I've got a jumper here that I haven't put on, a sweater that I haven't put on. But I went out and was immediately struck by how cool it was out there. And I've got the breath and it's just billowing in front of me. As I said, it's supposed to be 16 degrees, but with a dew point of 14, we were clearly below that, hence everything was wet through. The ground, the outside of the tent. So this is, I come back inside, and we sit here with the lights on the Christmas tree for a good couple of hours. I didn't want to use up too much of my power. I think I mentioned last week, 2 hours of having this Christmas tree lit up, even though it only uses 6 watts, allegedly. 2 hours uses about 15% of my EcoFlow. What's that? About a seventh of 250. So 35 watt hours. So there's and that's because it's coming from the AC, it's coming from the inverter, so there's obviously an overhead just in having the inverter running. We're turning DC into AC, and then the wall wart, you know, the adapter is converting back to DC, and just we're losing massively. I'm fairly sure this could run off a cigarette lighter. If I had the male cigarette lighter adapter, I could cut the line, and if I knew how to wire up the male cigarette lighter adapter, the power adapter, it would run directly off the 12 volt port, I think, because that's what this outputs once it's being stepped down by the transformer, the plug. I don't know. If I was better with electrical stuff, I'd maybe give that a go, but it'd be a bit of a risk, wouldn't it? And I don't know what I'm doing with anything like that, so maybe not. But I sat in for a couple of hours just with that. I figured I could sacrifice, 2 hours of battery to have that on. Went through to the bedroom, and this is where I said I saw the hopefully a mouse out here. It might have been bigger. I only caught a glimpse. Came running out spraying fly spray. I said hairspray at first when I did a video on Monday morning, but it was fly spray. I got there in the end. I went through hairspray, air freshener, and I eventually got to fly spray, which is what it was. Because that acrid smell of fly spray, mice don't like those pungent, acrid kind of smells. So I'm told. This is my research. That was my research last year. Let me show you this. First click never takes. And now it settles down just as I try and show you. Whole thing's just blowing. I was going to say it's blowing a gale. It's not quite gale force, but no. Put the camera on it, it goes quiet. Always the way. Did we just lose internet there? I got a green thing. I think it said you're online again. I think we might have lost connection for a second. Thumbs up if you would, folks. Fly spray, insecticide, bug killer, mosquito spray. Call it what you will. That stuff. Insecticide is the proper term, I guess. Okay, so that was my Sunday night. Yeah, Christmas tree lights, mice, and seeing my breath outside. Now this night into Monday morning, this was where everything was kind of wet through inside the tent the next morning. Not wet through, damp. You know, when I'm in bed and nice and warm, and then I put my hand out and I put it on top of the quilt, the duvet, the comforter, I guess is the American nearest equivalent. Put my hand out the bed and put it down, and you wonder, is that just cold or is it damp? It was damp. And later on in the night, it was actually raining inside the tent. The condensation on the underside of the tarpaulin here, the breath and the moisture, and just the dew, the moisture in the atmosphere against the cold surface, slightly warmer in the tent than outside. The moisture on the cold surface condenses, gets wet even on the inside, and once it gathers enough, and you get the droplets, and then as the wind blows and shakes it, you'll get a gust of wind, the whole thing moves, and then you get an actual shower of droplets of water. I don't know why I'm smiling as I say this, but yeah. So first thing next morning is open the doors and get a 3 draft going and get the place ventilated. I'm not leaving the doors and what have you wide open in the middle of winter. Can't do that. We'll just have to settle for getting damp from time to time. So yeah. So Monday morning, folks, I went for a late dog walk. I can't remember the exact time. It was I did a video as I got back to camp. I think I did a video did I do it while I was out on the cliff tops and then came back? And I tried to show how moist all of the vegetation was around the camp. Now on my camera screen I couldn't see it, but I assume, because this camera's 1080p and I was zoomed in, I assume that if you were on a good sized monitor or display, I assume you could see the droplets. It's getting a bit hairy in here, folks. I think we're alright. I think we're alright for now. Strange bit of lighting over there. I'm hoping that's not a rip in the tarpaulin, but I think it is. I don't think it's light coming in from under. Just bear with me. Let me show you this. Can you see over there? That's a tear in the tarpaulin, isn't it? Oh, fuck. I hope not. It might just be a reflection. Is it a reflection from the window? Oh, thank Christ. This is a window, plastic, a different fabric. It's just the... Oh. Okay. Okay, let me zoom back out. And then switch back to me. Here we go. Well, that's a relief, folks. I saw the way the light was, just a straight line diagonally. I thought we'd had something shear and tear, but it's actually just the plastic of the window catching light as it ripples. Oh, fuck. Okay, where am I? So I took Tina for a late morning dog walk, and or later than normal. We did a video. Came back here. Now this was my plan because Monday was Monday was the 2nd of December, I believe, and I'd done a live stream the night before, so we'd covered the first, and my plan was to kind of do like an advent thing and do one video or live stream every day up to Christmas, which is where I came up with the silly name Ad Tent as like a pun on Advent and living in a tent. But I fell at the first hurdle, didn't I? I didn't do a video on Tuesday. So we got 2 days on the trot, and then it died a death. Maybe next year. I don't know. Have I told you I'm a procrastinator? Things get put off and put off. So yeah, where are we? Okay, Monday, this is where I saw that the weather forecast changed and said that we were going to get rain on Tuesday night. And for a minute I was worried. We haven't had much in the way of rain since the big storm put holes in this tarp. Like I said, it's most of them are just what do you call it, when things get stretched. It's just the fibres being stretched apart and a few pinprick holes, and also the big dog clips, the big clips that we're using to clamp the tarpaulin onto the frame that we've got, because the ground won't hold. So in summer you can't get tent pegs into the ground, and in winter you can't get them to stay in the ground. Even if you put them in at like a 45-degree angle, the soil is wet and just gives. When you've had a lot of rain like we did in the big storm, the ground, I think I showed how all the plants and everything are becoming green again, and the trees and things are starting to blossom and bloom, even though it's December, because they've got rain for the first time in forever. So putting tent pegs in the ground and trying to hold tarpaulins on with cordage, with rope, string, it's not going to work. So this was where my mate Steve came up with these clamps that I'd never seen before, because he does market stalls back in the UK, or used to do market stalls. But these clamps can sometimes, they have these little plastic protective ends to stop them from gripping too hard, but the plastic things fall off over time, and you're left with more of a grippy teeth kind of thing, which can damage the tarpaulin. So when I saw it was going to rain, I was a little bit worried, but then I looked into it further, and the weather forecast app on my phone is garbage, so I'm better off just doing a Google search for weather Torrevieja, and it gives me a more detailed outlook. It tells me the probability of it actually raining, and if it does rain, how much. Well, it predicts, it doesn't tell me. If you've seen my videos in the past where I rip apart the statistics that they put out and that don't make sense at times, but I still use them as a guideline. If it says it's only going to be 2 millimeters and it's only a 50% chance, I don't panic. If it tells me it's going to be 20 millimeters, that's a lot of water. Each millimeter over a square meter, that's a litre. 1 millimeter of depth over a square meter is a litre of water. If every square meter is going to get 20 litres of water dumped on it, that's a lot. And when your tent is 7 meters by 3 meters, so you've got 21 square meters, each getting 20 litres of water dumped on them, potentially. That's a lot of water. And it only needs a few percent of it to be getting into the tent for you to have a problem, especially when I've got plastic floors. This used to be a sealed unit, so now that the roof and some of the walls are gone, water getting in is going to sit there on the plastic bed, on the plastic floor. In some cases, 2 layers of plastic floor. So I got to watch for stuff like that. But fortunately, when I looked into this on Monday, the forecast for Tuesday night, it said the windy app. I don't know that one, Jackie Tack. I will look into it, my friend. Thank you for the recommendation. But I had a bit of relief, because it was like most hours were 30 or 40% chance, and most of them were fractions of a millimeter, and worst case was like 3 millimeters of rain in a set of hours. But as we got there later into Monday and into Tuesday, they moved back when it was going to rain, and reduced the prediction for how much rain. So it wasn't a big deal in the end. Anyway, back to Monday. I've skipped to Tuesday a little bit there, haven't I? Talking about the forecast for Tuesday night. So Monday itself was a fairly quiet day in the tent, recharging, trying to get all my batteries up. Because I'd used this light on Sunday night for the TrampCast. There's three double A's in there. Tina, quiet. 3 double A's in there. I got 3 triple A's in my head torch, my headlight, and also this one's USB-C inbuilt rechargeable. So I had to get everything charged back up after using them all during the TrampCast the previous night. And also I've got my fairy lights, which are currently not turned on. There's 3 double A's again. They're double A's in there, I think. Yeah, those are double A's. This round light's double A's. Most other things are triple. Most everything else are triple A's. But and then of course I want to get enough power and get the EcoFlow charged back up, because I'd had the Christmas tree lit up the night before. Tina, she's determined to knock this thing over. Okay, where are we? Oh, okay. Yeah, when I was trying to charge all of my batteries, like I said, I'm using them in 3s. Almost every device uses 3 batteries at once. 3 AA or 3 AAA. My EcoFlow only has 2 USB USB-A ports. The batteries I've got need to plug into USB-A and have a USB-C port on the other end. The cable. USB-C to USB-C won't charge them because they don't follow the standard properly. But I've only got these 2 ports. But I've got the 12 volt, the cigarette lighter port, and I've got a male adapter to go into the cigarette lighter and give 2 extra USB ports. And it's been sat here unused all these months. I used to use it before I got the EcoFlow to power 2 12 volt two 12 volt solar panels to the female cigarette port, and then I put that thing in and I could charge devices directly from the solar panels via this 12 volt to 5 volt USB adapter. But it's been sat here for months unused, and now I've started using it fairly regularly because there's no discernible overhead for turning the 12 volt port on, the cigarette lighter port on. It's not like using the AC, what's the word I'm looking for? DC to AC, not transformer. I've lost the word, it'll come to me later. But there's no overhead for having an inverter. There's no overhead like with the inverter, or no significant overhead. So I started using that more, so now I can charge three or 4 batteries at a time. So yeah, that started to happen Monday. So into Tuesday, folks, and woke up. This is a weird one, and this is a pattern that's been happening a lot recently. Falling asleep earlier than normal at night and waking up at 2 AM. Sometimes 3, occasionally 4, but 2 o'clock in the morning often. So I've had a night's sleep. I wake up and it's 2 in the morning. What the fuck can you do at 2 in the morning? So I lay there in bed and just watch TV programs or YouTube videos. I mean, what else can you do? And then of course you get to daylight, 7 o'clock, 7:30, whatever time it's getting light, then I fall asleep, don't I? So all day Tuesday I've got this rain hanging over my head, is it going to rain Tuesday night or not? And if it does, is it going to be worse than the forecast says? It's amazing how often the weather forecast will tell you for days that you're going to get 2 millimeters or less, and once it starts raining they'll upgrade it to 20 millimeters. It's like they stick their head out the fucking window and they forecast what's already happening. Yeah, they get me annoyed at times. So there I am anyway, all that night and into the morning, just watching prepper videos and cookery videos. Always had an interest in prepping and being prepared. Always had an interest in cooking. Now I'm living in the middle of a bloody field, prepping stuff and what do they call it? Bushcraft, I guess. I'm not a lunatic doomsday prepper, but if I can learn a new knot or how to tie something or how to fasten something together to help me kind of jerry-rig my way through life, then I will. And some of the stuff's interesting. It's watching these things where I learned about things like jackeries and EcoFlows, this whole category of product that I didn't know existed until 2 or 3 years ago, watching these videos. So yeah, useful stuff. I wouldn't have known how to split wood with a knife and a bit of rebar without watching those videos a couple of years ago. Before I was homeless, but just having that general interest. And then I spent a year here, just all day, every day, chopping wood, ready for boiling water over fires. Before the police told me that I couldn't do that anymore and started taking things away from me. Let me get some light on the subject, folks. Let's just give me a second. Not just for you to see me, but so that I can see my notes as well. If I do this right. Oh, I'll tell you what I'll do as well. If you give me a second. Oh, that's not right. What's going wrong there? Oh, no. Okay, off, on. Okay. Is that... Can I get that to perch there? Need some light from this side. Give me a second. I'm going to turn the Christmas tree lights on. And maybe my fairy lights. Hey, Tina girl. Just let me press a button on the eco flow. I pressed, okay, I was worried. I pressed the button and they didn't come on. Just a little delay. I guess while that transformer warms up. Okay. Hey babe, you're gonna let me walk past you again? Wait. Oh, steady, girl. Okay. Oh, whoa. One of us moved at just the wrong time and almost hurt the other one. Well, I was walking past and she moved the paw under my foot. She almost got hurt. I managed to stop myself in time. Okay, folks, where are we? Okay. So yeah, this is where I spent the night watching these videos, and then as it got light, fell asleep, and so got up late, slept until 9:30, and took Tina for a walk. And I think I'd walked her the night before at like 6 o'clock, something like that, 6 or 7. So I thought that by 9:30 the next morning she'd be desperate. I was kind of beating myself up a little bit, you know, about making her go more than 12 hours. But I took her out there and she wasn't in any rush at all. She made me walk her, instead of just doing the short walk for her just to do what she needs to do, she made me do a full circuit around. She made me do the long walk before doing her morning ablutions. So yeah. Now this Tuesday morning was a very sunny morning, and the eco flow was a little bit low. So I was glad it was sunny, because we got it topped up really quickly. Full power by dinner time, by lunchtime. So this is where I thought about charging up my hair clippers, not just for a beard trim this time, but I thought about tackling this mess. But I never cut my hair, and I thought I'll save it until I've got a baseball cap. I've got a baseball cap or a couple of baseball caps in here somewhere. I'm going to wait until I dig one of those out. If I can find one of those, in case it goes disastrously wrong, I'll at least be able to cover up the disaster. Let me just show you this Christmas tree for those that haven't if you haven't seen it before. Here's my Christmas tree in my tent. Isn't that nice? Not bad for a tramp in his tent. Sat in his armchair. Over here, there's the two lights that I've just put out, but over here I've got my fairy lights. And down there somewhere is my doggy. Where are you, Tina? Say hello to the peoples. There she is. Hold on, there are a couple of chats there maybe that I just missed. Live chat. Jack attack with the thumbs up. Yeah, when you try and cut your own hair, and yeah, then you have to go to the barber or hairdresser and explain what you did and why. And why you need help. Yeah, it can be quite expensive cutting your own hair. You think you're going to save money. First you have to get the equipment, which I was lucky. Karen's loaned me her, she brought me some clippers, and they're here. And they can charge, because I've got 220, isn't it, in Spain? I've got 220 volts AC out of the EcoFlow, so I can charge them if they're not, I think they're already charged from the last time. Taking the beard off was literally just a 2-minute, maybe 3-minute job. And they were fully charged, so they probably still are. But I want to know, like, if I'm going to go like short back and sides, if I'm going to go shorter on the sides and the back than I am on top, So if I did it all just the same length, it's just a case of running the clippers with the attachment. It's just a case of running it over the whole head. But I want it shorter at the sides and the back than on top. And where do you keep that line? How do you keep that line? I got no clue. So I guess I'm going to give it a go though. I can't. Now I have to just add, I haven't washed my hair once this year. I've got the shampoos, and thanks to ladies donating, I've got conditioners and all sorts of woo-woo stuff that I wouldn't even know what to do with. Like I think I've even got hairspray, and I got all sorts. I don't know what to do with half of it. I got no idea how to use conditioner. But I've even got Brill cream somewhere. I got bottles of named aftershaves, you know, probably expensive ones, or at least fake expensive ones. I've no idea. But I'm a tramp living in a field. When am I going to use half of this shit? But I thought about cutting my hair, and I put it off because I can't find a baseball. I couldn't immediately find a baseball cap. Fairly sure I've got one in the bedroom somewhere, and there's one in one of these boxes in the other half of the tent. If I set my mind to going and doing it and give myself a couple of hours, I'll probably find one or the other in that time. But yeah, like I said, I want a baseball cap in case it goes wrong. Now, we come to the night, and I'm this impending rain that's been in the back of my mind for a day and a half now. And depending which forecast you read, it's either going to start at 3 in the morning or 7 in the morning. That's what they said. The earliest that I've seen is 3 o'clock, and on a different app it said 7. So I see this, and I'm reassuring myself. I take Tina for a midnight walk. It's 1 o'clock in the morning actually. It's actually quite warm. Took her out. I mean, I was in just as I am now, short sleeves and a pair of shorts, and take the dog for a walk. 1 o'clock in the morning, lovely and warm. Can't believe it's actually going to be bad weather or anything. Get back in the tent, and within half an hour, so 2 o'clock in the morning, let's say, it's chucking it down. So the weather forecast was 3 o'clock or 7 o'clock, and it started just before 2 o'clock. And it wasn't. It was moderate to begin with, but fairly quickly it was on and off, but fairly mild all through the night. No real problem. Next morning, I get up, do a tour of the tent to see if we've got any water ingress, and no, we look to be good. I was a bit surprised because my EcoFlow sits in front of the door, and my door doesn't close properly. Although I've got some tarp coming down, and I peg it in one corner, and it hangs in place, and then the door that won't close is kind of sort of held in place by the fly mesh, the mosquito net. And we get we're kind of 90% covered. We usually something will go wrong, and I had one time when it rained a lot and I thought I was safe. Excuse me. When I came out the next morning, the bottom of the outer door had blown inwards into the tent, and all the water that was running down it was getting dumped inside the tent. The rug here, the carpet inside the tent was wet through. Took about a week to dry out. Yeah, it was waterlogged. When I walked across it in bare feet for the next week, it's squelching underfoot. That was fun. So I learnt that lesson. That's when I started securing it with the mosquito net inside the internal door to stop the external one blowing inwards. It can get sucked outside when the wind's the other way. It's held by little bits of Velcro because the zip itself is just bust apart now. They don't last forever. So yeah, where are we? Oh, before it rained, that's it. Yeah, well, on the Tuesday, so I've just told you all about Tuesday night, how it rained during the night. Before that, I did have a little tour around the tent and pulled the tarpaulin taut and re-secured it with the clamps, with the pegs. Just to minimise, if the wind gets under, if it's loose, the wind gets under, the whole thing billows and it's more chance of ripping and getting pulled off the pegs. So I pulled it nice and taut, secured it as low down the far side as I could, the leading edge of the wind, where the wind's coming from. Secured it as low down to stop the wind getting under it as much as I could. It's still very drafty, the wind does whip in and get in. I got a whole wall missing over there, so it's very windy and breezy. But you do what you can. So like I said, that's Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and I said I walked around and checked for water ingress. And yeah. Now it carried on raining on and off that morning. So all through the night and then the morning. Just moderate. During the day it was actually really quite light. Nothing to worry about. And then, I don't know, early afternoon we started, or late morning I guess, we started to get a few muted sunny spells. You know, we actually had a break in the clouds, and instead of being dark, it was fairly light and even at times a little bit sunny. So we managed to get some power into the EcoFlow and get the power up. And we managed to hit 88% by the end of the day. We'd actually been up to 90% at one point because I was charging things and trying to get everything. Oh, sorry folks, I said I've got the beginnings of a cold, a little bit of a cough on my chest maybe. But yeah, we were up to 90 at one point, but because I'm charging things and having to keep the phone charged and charge these batteries for these lights and things, on 88 as the in late afternoon. Now when it does this, I have a little bit of a choice, because where the solar panel is outside the door here, when the sun's behind me over here on an evening or late afternoon, it's in shade, the solar panel. So I have a choice as to whether to kind of chase the sun. I can move the solar panel and the EcoFlow further away, face the sun, and get maybe an extra hour or half an hour, just top up the charge that little bit more. But if I'm on 88, and I generally use about 30% overnight, keeping the tablet and the phone charged. If I'm on 88 and it's starting to get dark, or you know, there's no need for me to be chasing the last remnants of the sun to eke every bit out. If I was on 30%, then yes, try and get up to 40 or 50. But not when I've already got that much. Just no point chasing that. But that night, this is when the weather forecast said 10 degrees. So it was 15 degrees at 4 in the afternoon, while the sun's still up, which is low for here. And that night, 10 degrees according to the forecast, probably as low as 8. This is another one of those nights where you stick your arm out of bed and the quilt is it cold? Is it damp? It could be either. It could be both. But that was a cooler night than most. I would guess 8 degrees C. Although until I put batteries in this clock and can see definitively. There's 2 other thermometers laying around. This one just broke off. This was hanging from the ceiling until about an hour before TrampCast just started. But the fixing is on the ceiling still, but it's come off the bit of balsa wood or plywood or whatever this lightweight wood is. So these are not easy to reference in the middle of the night when you're thinking it's getting a bit cool. It still hasn't been cold, but it is getting cool. 8 degrees C will be what? 15, about 47 Fahrenheit for you Americans, who I think are the only people still using Fahrenheit. Okay. Oh, so that's Wednesday night into Thursday. And this night I'm awake. Awake until 2 a.m. waiting on this rain and what have you. And somewhere there I fall asleep. but I'm awake again by 4. So I only got 2 hours proper sleep there. As I said, it was a cool night, but no real problem. I've got lots of spare blankets, lots of additional. I've got a quilt here that's just sat on this chair. I've got 2 sleeping bags. I've got clothing that I could put on. I think this night was the one where I slept in the sweater, in the jumper. So the only night that I've done that, and even then it was only the 2 layers. It was this and the jumper. There are times in the past when I slept in 5 layers, including a survival coat. But this was before we had any kind of shelter or tent. That was when we were just on a bedroll out in the field here. Those were the days. So fresh in my memory still. And it's 2 years ago now. But when I had nothing, just a bedroll, and then I found the tarpaulin to put over the top. Small tarpaulin, 3 meters by 2, just enough to cover a bed and wrap under. And so when it rained and you have to pull it over your head and sit there for hours while it rains, and you're in this little kind of mini tent, but your breath's condensing on the plastic, and there's you and a dog on a single bed wrapped under a small tarp. Kind of excuse me again, folks. Kind of got fond memories of it, but I don't want to do it again. No, I do not want to do it again. But it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad as it sounds. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a drink. Okay. So yeah, woke up at 4 a.m. This was where I had it was this morning the Thursday when it came to me to think about maybe getting I think someone suggested it once in the past. But I think this is where I decided that yeah, maybe I will get an electric blanket later in the winter. Maybe January, maybe February, depending how winter goes. But a single person electric blanket. Try and get one that only uses 50 watts or so. Probably come with a maximum of 100 watts, but you turn it down and only have it on the lowest setting. And only for like quarter of an hour at the start of the night, quarter of an hour halfway through the night, and maybe quarter of an hour towards morning. That way it doesn't drain all of my power from the EcoFlow. And it's an idea. It was that night, well, the Wednesday night into Thursday morning where I kind of was considering that. And I think I'm right in saying, I could have this wrong, it might have been the next day, but I think it was Thursday morning that Colleen came around, the lady who visited. She brings things for Tina mainly, occasionally a little bit for me. But she came around with a chicken carcass, uncooked, a raw chicken carcass for Tina, and some what do you call the little, not biscuits, but the little compressed dog food pellets, you know, with a little bit of chicken flesh, chicken meat in there as well. Now this was a cloudy start to the day. This was a bit of a strange one. So overnight the solar panel will be like this, flat on top of my cool box to keep the rain off, keep the rain out. And then in the morning I'll stand it up to face the sun. But because it was so overcast, almost dark in the morning, we were only drawing 20 watts on the panel. The EcoFlow needs 15 watts clear, needs 15 watts left over to do any charging. If you're only drawing 14 or 30, it's not going to charge. If you're drawing 20 and you're using 6, so there's only 14 clear, it won't charge. And I had all these batteries and things plugged in trying to charge. And I realised after a while it wasn't charging because it was only getting 20 watts minus the 6 or so that we were using, 6 or 7, was only leaving 13 or 14 watts, and it wasn't charging. So perversely, I had to kind of unplug the things I was trying to charge just to get the power into the EcoFlow. Leave it the 20 watts to go directly into the EcoFlow, and I can charge my batteries and whatever later. Or if the sun comes out and you get a bigger margin, bigger margin for error, a bigger input to play with. So yeah, perversely, even though it was charging somewhat at times, it was on and off, and I made the decision to unplug the things I was trying to charge. Now it was a lovely sunny afternoon though. The sun came out in the afternoon. The morning was positively dark, but yeah, we got proper sun in the afternoon and managed to get things moving properly. But this is where I saw that the forecast for the coming week was for a bunch of nights that are all going to be like 7 degrees or so. 7, 8, 9 degrees overnight. And as I said, you can knock off 3 degrees from that for this area, typically. Not always, but typically. So we're gonna have some cool ones. We're gonna have some cool days, cool nights. I'm not gonna say cold. Only ever really been cold here. I've said this before. Only ever really been cold. Was it last year? Oh God, I'm losing track of time. Was it last year or the one before? The one before, almost 2 years ago, we had a week where the temperatures were down around 4 Celsius for Torrevieja as a whole. A little bit cooler in the field, as I say. And maybe 3 or 4 nights that week were cold. They started opening emergency shelters in town because they didn't understand how anyone could survive those temperatures. And it was that week where I started putting boiling hot water into empty cola bottles. Then putting 2 cola bottles inside a pillow, not a pillowcase, a cushion cover, and zipping it up and putting that in the bed to keep me and her ladyship warm, keep me and Tina nice and warm. So we had no problem, even though it was 4 degrees at times. I was positively too hot on some of those nights. Not just not cold, but actually like sweating in bed. Because once you've got 4 litres of hot water, there's no turning it down. You know what I mean? You can take it out of bed and not have it there, but who's going to do that? Sit there nice and toasty, lay there nice and toasty in bed. So yeah, a sunny afternoon. Now this was where I mentioned before that Colleen wasn't the only visitor to the camp. We had I got a shout. Someone stood on the track here on the little road, and someone shouted hello in Spanish. And I went out and I thought, oh, a new friend bringing us some goodies. And he's got a bag with him with what looks like tins and things in. And I'm thinking, oh, hello, new friend. What have you got for us? No. He starts telling me some cock and bull story about how he's in an apartment somewhere nearby and he's been mugged and all his money's gone. And have I got 20 euros to help him either get home to Valencia or get some friends to come and get him? Or the story was a little bit muddled and befuddled and confused. Language barriers and maybe. But he starts asking for 20 euros. He's come up to a homeless guy asking for 20 euros. I've said this in the past. I don't understand some of these people. Who comes, and he's not the first, but who comes up to a homeless person looking for assistance and help and money? So he asks for 20 and I laugh and no. He immediately drops to 10 and I'm like, I haven't got it. And he keeps going, and in the end I say, look, I can spare 5, but you're leaving me really short with that. And I haven't got much in the way of cash. I got money on PayPal and on this prepaid debit card that my friend Karen got me. But actual cash in ready, cash in hand, I haven't got a lot. Very rarely got a decent amount in cash. And the guy's telling me how he's going to come back in 2 days and give it me back, and I figure it's bullshit because, you know, he's stopped to ask a homeless guy for help. But I figure I could have just told him to get to fuck. I could have smacked out. There's all sorts of could have done. I could have got angry and just told him to go away. But then you risk retribution, don't you? You could come back and kind of set fire to the place or rob things when my back's turned or, just come back and do violence or whatever. And so I offered him a fiver and said, that's literally all I've got. You're only leaving me with a couple of euros. Be on your way, lad. He promises he's coming back in 2 days. He's never going to come back. And I was 80%, 90% sure he was never going to come back. But I figured it was worth a fiver just to avoid. Two sorts of people are going to be asking a homeless guy for money. Someone who's like a con man who's just wanting to take advantage, or someone who's really desperate. And I'm not qualified to tell the two apart. Maybe he's a genuine, really desperate person. Maybe he will come back with the money one day. I doubt it. But in the event that he's a wrong 'un and he's a con man or whatever, a fiver just to get rid and avoid the trouble, avoid the risk of theft, violence, damage to the tent, such as it is. So anyway, yeah, that was Thursday when I went from thinking that we'd got a new friend bringing us something to someone taking away from us. Sorry, Thursday. It's Thursday afternoon. But when he immediately went from 20 euros and I laughed in his face, he went straight to 10 and then accepted 5. Bah. Okay, into Friday. And that was Spanish Constitution Day, a big holiday in Spain. All the shops are shut. Or most, and 7 o'clock in the morning, somewhere over there, really loud. I don't know if it was someone with just a loud music system blaring out of their apartment or house, or whether it was an event in a field or something. 7 in the morning, the loud thumping music starts and goes for solid 24 hours. 24 bastard hours of bass line. And if you've heard Spanish music, Spanish pop music, they only have one bass line. There's only the one drum beat. It's a relief when they play some music that's not Spanish, just so that you get a bit of variety. But I wasn't just listening to the bass line, I was listening to the entire bloody song. It was that loud. Could have been a mile away, but hey, it's their holiday. You got the fireworks that go with it and what have you. It's their day, I guess. I'm in their country. You put up with it. This was a day where my power bank, I have a little portable, a little power bank that you charge your phone off, whatever. Not the EcoFlow, but just one of the little pocket ones. And it started playing up. I don't know whether I've lay on it while it's had a cable in the USB, the micro USB port. The one it accepts a charge through no longer accepts a bloody charge. But it's got a solar panel on top, but it starts playing up and won't charge. I plugged it into the EcoFlow and wiggled the wire around for a little while. And just for a moment, it started accepting the charge and giving the flashing lights to say charging. But that was a fraction of a second and hasn't done it again since. Even when it's out in the sun, and it's supposed to do the flashing even when it's been powered by solar, the LEDs aren't on and flashing and flickering the way they should. And it takes about 3 days of solid sunshine to charge a damn thing fully. It's just useful to have as a bridge between the EcoFlow's in this room, and I have one cable running through into the bedroom. And then having this, because it's got 2 ports on the two output ports from the power bank, it's just a nice bridging thing where in the night when my tablet or my phone are running down, instead of having to bring them out here and plug them in properly, it was just nice to have. But it's now well, I've still got it, but I'm charging it on solar and it's slow, and it'll only be available one day in 2 or one day in 3. Everything falls apart eventually, folks. If you do any kind of prepping, if you're any kind of, if you do any kind of disaster preps, just bear in mind, shit stops working and it all falls apart a lot sooner than you think. You start off, I moved into this field with 3 power banks, and by the end of that first night, 2 of them were fucked because it flooded. A month later, the 3rd one was gone because it flooded again. Doesn't take much, one incident. You're one incident away from having everything stop working. You got to have fallbacks, you got to have backups and backups for backups. Okay, this was again another a cloudy afternoon. We got the EcoFlow well charged in the morning and up to lunch, but the afternoon was just a pretty much total cloud cover. So again, by the end of the day, we were down to 93% at the late afternoon, early evening. But again, not worth chasing the daylight and any remnants of sun for the last 6 or 7% while you're already that high on your charge. For entertainment that day, I saw that there was a new series of Resident Alien. I don't know if it's new. It's new to me. TV program from America, Resident Alien, kind of a comedy drama, I guess. And I think I'd only ever seen season 1. In the UK we call it a series, series 1. But season 3 was out, so I decided to download 1 and 2 in readiness for watching season 3, which I've also got queued up and ready to download. So that's been my entertainment these last few days. My phone is starting to get a little bit over full again though, and I haven't got anywhere to transfer files to, so I'll have to start. I've got some USB pen drives, thumb drives, whatever you want to call them, but they're full. And I've got some SD cards, they're full. I've got SD card readers and pen drives. I've got the OTG cable that I can plug onto the phone or the tablet, juggle files around, move stuff, shuffle things. But I think I'm going to have to start going through and deleting some things to make space. How long have I had this phone now? 6 weeks, maybe 2 months. I've filled the 120, I want to say 128 gigs already. Doesn't take me long. Doesn't take me long. I've still got a 2 terabyte hard drive, but it's still got the same problem with the file allocation table. And nobody's brought me a laptop. No one can lend me a laptop for 5 minutes just so that I can plug this hard drive in and clear whatever the error is. Windows would do it in seconds. Android just offers to reformat the entire drive. So if there's anybody out there in Torrevieja or the surrounding area that has a Windows laptop that I can borrow for 5 minutes, I kid you not, 5 minutes, just to fix the tiniest of corruption in the file allocation table or whatever the modern registry of files on a hard drive is called, let me know. Contact me. Send me an email. We'll make arrangements. You literally 5 minutes. We can scan for viruses and do all that other fun stuff before, but it's literally just file allocation table, just to clear it up and free up what is literally 1.75 terabytes of unused space that's going to waste while I sit here shuffling files between thumb drives and deciding what to delete of my precious downloaded entertainment. So yeah, Friday, so that was Resident Alien and all that, downloading those. Into Friday night, and as you all know, Friday night equals Friday Night Tights from Nerdrotic on YouTube. Favourite programme of the week. I get 2 hours into it. To be honest, I was getting a little bit bored. How would you put it? They've started talking more in depth on some topics, and some of the topics I'm not like if they're talking about a film or a computer game or something that's just come out this week, And if it's something I'm not interested in, never going to watch, and then they talk about it for a fucking hour, what do you do? So I lay there kind of, it's on, it starts at 10 o'clock Spanish time. By midnight I'm asleep. I just bored by too long a conversation about a couple of topics that I'm not interested in. So away we go. Into, it's Friday night into Saturday. And I wake up just as the main Friday Night Tights program is finishing on YouTube. And then they do a bonus hour over on Rumble. I could remember it began with an R. I couldn't remember the name. They do a bonus hour, Rumble exclusive. So I switch over to that, and then this is a lot more broken up, going through super chats and just random comments and just more conversational. So a lot more entertaining. So yeah, I woke up 2 o'clock just as this was beginning, and I switched over and watched that extra hour. And I was awake again all night until 7. I see the beginnings of daylight, and then I fall asleep because, what else are you going to do when you've been awake all night? So wake up at 9, take the dog for a walk at 10. I just sat and watched a bit of telly type stuff, you know. Whatever program I'm on at the minute, probably Resident Alien. Still enjoying The Mentalist. I still love that. All those cleverest guy in the room type programs, Mentalist, House, whatever, you know. And the French one I'm watching at the minute, HPI, Haute Potential Intellectual. There's an American version, but I think there's only 8 programs of that so far, 8 episodes. So I'm going through the French one because they've got 3 or 4 years to go through. So anyway, I take the doggy for a walk and come back, and it's a nice sunny morning. Get the EcoFlow fully charged well before noon. And Saturday lunch. This was, you remember earlier in the week I said that the wind was forecast to begin Saturday noon through to Tuesday noon. They've now brought that back to last thing Monday. But here we are, folks. For the first 24 hours, Saturday noon to Sunday noon, not so much. The odd gust of wind, putting a bit of stress on the tent, but nothing too strenuous until lunchtime today, when things started to pick up. We'll get to that in a moment. So yeah, the wind started to pick up, but never really went anywhere. I had the doors open yesterday morning and left them open for a bit of breeze and ventilation, and to dry out the condensation that occurs at night. And I decided to put the Christmas tree, for those that are late arriving. Oh, the first click never takes. I am a tramp, I live in a field, but I got a Christmas tree. I put the Christmas tree on and decided to leave the doors open last night, yesterday evening, so that people driving past and people at the bus stop on the big main road up there that way can see. Because normally, I don't think, when I go outside now, I can't see much in the way of the flashing of the lights. Most of this is 2 layers. You've got what's remaining of the walls of the tent, and then you've got tarpaulins on the outside as well. The roof is just a tarp, but it's quite a thick, heavy one, so you don't see much. So I decided to leave the doors open and just let people know that there's a bit of Christmas spirit here. Maybe they'll bring me some presents to put under the tree. Who knows? But the wind picked up again a little bit in the evening, and my Christmas tree kept getting blown over. So I kept having to come out, and I was in the bedroom, but I kept having to come out and stand it back up. But that was last night, yesterday evening and into the night. I didn't run it too long because, as I said, 2 hours on runs down the EcoFlow by about 15%, which is quite heavy. If I did it for an extra 2 hours and lose 30%, if we have a bad day weather-wise, I might be struggling for power suddenly. And I don't want to do that. So don't run it for too long, just 2 hours typically. If I see a weather forecast showing solid sun all day tomorrow, or all day the next day, I'll run it for 4 hours, maybe even 6. But I don't want to risk it if the weather's a bit iffy. But last night, I think I mentioned this earlier, 9 o'clock, almost 10 o'clock last night, and it was still 20 degrees Celsius, which is pretty spectacular to say that we're not quite halfway through December, but we're getting there, aren't we? What is it now, the 8th? So another 3 or 4 days and we will be kind of, well, another week, I guess, to be technically fully halfway through. You all right there, Tina? Tina's okay. But, yeah, 20 degrees, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. When I said some nights have been down as low as 7. So that was good. And then, of course, Saturday night, for me, that's Big Clive. BigClive.com over on Twitch. He's moved over to Twitch for his live streams. Followed straight away by Scruff Dog over on YouTube. Scruff Dog, all one word, single F. And I just hung out there in those two, in the chats for those 2 programs, and that was my Saturday. When those finished, I think Scruff finished 2 o'clock my time, maybe 1 o'clock. But I was still wide awake. 2:30, I looked at the time and wondered why I wasn't tired at all. Wide awake, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, just watching cookery programs and whatever on YouTube. Chef Jean-Pierre. You got it, if you've never watched Chef Jean-Pierre, highly recommended. Even if you're not interested in cooking, just for the entertainment value. Onion, always number first. Unless you've got bacon. Onion. Okay. So yeah, I fell asleep. It could be Jack Attack. Yeah, your dad jokes. Yeah. Whatever website you're pulling them from, they're usually quite entertaining. For those of you that don't know, Jack Attack is always over in Big Clive's streams and Scruff Dog's, and he's telling these really terrible jokes. They're funny for what they are. So I must have fallen asleep Sunday morning about 3:30. Again, this time woke up at 7, so it was a little bit more normal. But the eco flow is down to 50%, and I was wondering how things were going to work out. But we had plenty of early sunshine, so we got we got topped up fairly quickly. Took her ladyship for walkies and did a quick video just to tell people, hey, episode 50 of TrampCast this afternoon. Nobody watched it. I don't think I picked a very good title, and it was a short video as well, which never works as well. I think it was only 2.5 minutes, maybe 3 at a push. And I haven't, when the last phone stopped working, I lost my little intro, like, title sequence and my closing sequence. I need to download a couple of my older videos and chop those off and then make them available to myself for future videos. I just haven't got organised yet on that stuff. I lost all of my assets and photos, and they're not lost. They're on a phone that I can't access because the charge port doesn't work, so you can't get into them. If you can't charge the phone, you can't get your files off it, can you? It's not like I can pay for a data recovery service. We'll get there one day. We'll get there one day. So yeah, again, it wasn't windy this morning so much, as I showed on that video. It did actually flare up a little bit while I was doing that morning video. But lunchtime, or in the run-up to lunchtime, sorry, this tickly cough is just starting to kick in a little bit. But on that video, it did flare up a little bit, but by noon it was starting to get a proper blowy, like it has been. And it's, as I said, it's going to be like this for the next 28 or so hours, isn't it? 30 hours maybe. Although it's quiet now. He says jinxing it entirely. Well, this is where not my mate, this is where the other guy in a tent over the back of these trees came around and started. He does this every now and again. Either dog food or water. I'm not going to say he's always pestering me, but it's about once a month. This bloke's he's Spanish, so he's here and he's allowed to work. I'm not. And Tina's... I can't leave Tina, there's no one to leave her with. I can't work anywhere, and it would be illegal for me to work, and I've got enough legal troubles as it is. But he's working and getting money. And yet he's constantly coming to me, not constantly, but once or twice a month. Can I take a bottle of water? Can I take a bottle of water? Oh, I've got no dog food for his dog. And it's... that together with a bloke coming and asking me for money the other day is just pissing me off a bit. So yeah, that was basically today. That was my Sunday. Getting up this morning, charging the EcoFlow, doing a video, Pepe coming, and then doing my notes. It takes me on a good day, takes me a couple of hours to get all that written down. On a bad day, it can take me 3 or 4 if I'm just not in the mood. Sometimes I'll break it up, tell myself to do this top bit, and then watch a video, do one half and take a break. And it's not actually 4 hours of writing notes. There's not that much here. Got to research the numbers section, but I generally just rip off the Wikipedia page for whatever the number is, 50 in this case. But yeah, just this guy coming and asking me for stuff, and then the other guy the other day, and it's not like I've got the money to be handing it out. Don't know. Anyway, folks, that's basically been my week. Those are my successes. Don't think I had any. My failures, had a few, and just the other events in the life of a tramp. A tramp and his dog and his Christmas tree in his tent in a field. Now, upcoming, what have we got? We're getting closer and closer to Christmas. It's becoming more and more of a thought in my mind about how I structure getting some food here to the tent ready for Christmas. Whether I just buy all ready to eat, you know, just sandwiches, cooked meats, cheeses. Whether I do that or whether I go for the full turkey dinner and break out my camping stove or some more powerful gear that I've got. Getting all my pots and pans cleaned because some of them aren't in the best state at the minute. I go through periods where, like, if I've been cooking and then I don't have enough water, because the only washing bowl I've got's a really big bowl, and it would take 3 or 4 of these 8-litre bottles to put a decent depth of water in the bowl, and so that I could, and so I'd have to do that and then wash all the pots and pans and everything all at once. And what I've tended to do is just put that off and just put them to one side, not with food in, but with, you know, unclean, not wiped out, or maybe wiped out roughly but not properly cleaned. So I'm starting to think about Christmas and Christmas lunch and Christmas dinner and what I'm going to do about all that, and how I do the logistics of getting the food here, because the supermarket really is at the limits of how far I can take Tina. And yeah, it's a bit of a struggle. It's a bit of a difficult. I'm trying to only go there once a fortnight, and I think I'm failing, and I'm going to go maybe once a week or once every 10 days. But we've only got what, 17 days to Christmas, 15 or 16, depending on whether you're going to do it on Christmas Eve rather than Christmas Day. Follow the local traditions, the local customs. So all of that, I got that coming. I've got a week of cold nights ahead of me, with all that entails, and I've still got this windy, a day of strong winds, relatively strong, considering the state of the tent. Those are my main burdens. I've got the mouse problem, the rodent. They're getting in. There's not a lot of them, and they're not doing anything too much. There's not too much we can get to, except if I forget, like the packet of spaghetti that I forgot about. There's not a lot they can do, but they're here, and they are getting in when they want to. Things like that. These are my upcoming struggles, my upcoming travails. But we'll get there, folks. We will survive. We will cope with whatever hardship winter brings. So yeah, thank you all for being here. Thank you for joining me on this episode 50 of TrampCast, or as in the tradition of the site, at TrampCast 050. I tend to just always list it with three digits. It was optimistic of me from the beginning, assuming I was going to get past episode 99 one day. I don't know if that's optimistic or pessimistic. Tina girl, Tina, just people walking past. Tina, it's okay. Okay, folks, let's see whether we can close out in the tradition of the site. Tina girl, Tina, come here, babe. Oh, that first click doesn't take, does it? Okay, folks, there's a Christmas tree. There's a Christmas tree. Tina, there she, can you see her? Yeah, she is, look. There's a Tina. Okay, folks, from Tina. And from me, Delta Mike, out.